Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Push Covers. In today's tutorial, I'll be showing you how to make this called an open abaya or an open jacket or an open blouse on the right side of this image. Let's get started. We'll be using and the measurements we require. The measurements we'll be needing are the length of the blouse, then the nape of the neck to the sleeve, and then the wrist circumference, which is the measurement around the sleeve. Fabric, I'm using a lining fabric, which is mostly used inside garments to line fabrics, so I'll be using it to illustrate the cutting of this style. So first we'll fold it into two, and then we'll create a line which will serve as our baseline where we'll begin our measurements from. I left about 1 inch above the line because of the allowance at the shoulder area. I'll measure the neckline, which I'll be using 3 inches for the neckline. Then I'll measure the nape of the neck to the sleeve, which is the distance from the middle of the neck to the full sleeve. So for this one, I'll be using 12 inches. 12 inches. Then I'll go down by about 1 inch and join the neck measurements to the end. So this is the back right now. I'm cutting the back. For the full length, we'll be making use of 20 inches. This here. 20 inches. Don't forget to add your hemming allowance, about 1 to 1.5 inch, to a total of 21. 20 inches plus the allowance. So, like I remember, I said we're cutting the back. The same 12 inches we took as the nape of the neck to the sleeve, I measured that same 12 inch at the end, at the hem. So I'll be joining the two lines together. So now we have this shape. It's like this, neck to the sleeve, the full length. I'll be using a wrist circumference of 6 inches. Right, I'll be using 6 inches. So 6 inches, because it's the wrist, we'll divide by 2 and it will give us 3 inches. But I want it to be a bit bigger because we're going to gather it. So I'll make it about 4 or 5 inches. So let me use 5 inches. That is here. Then I'll go inward by about 1.5 inches, and I'll go inward by the same 1.5 inch on the lowest part. So this line meets this line at 1.5 inches lesser. Then to make the lower part a bit slanted, I can go upwards by 1/2 inch or 3/4 inch and blend it to somewhat the middle of the hem. And we're done. Don't forget to add your allowances. Add about 1/2 inch allowance to the shoulder area. There's no much need for allowance here. One for here, then the lower part allowance. Then we determine the neckline for the back. 1/2 inch is okay for whatever measurement. 1/2 inch to 1 inch is okay. So we draw the neckline here. So this is the neckline. I used only half inch. This out. So this is what we have as the back. Using this back to cut the front. Let's say this is the front, folded in two. This is the back measurement on the front. You can use pins to hold it down. It doesn't move so much. And then following the front. Cut in a very comfortable way. Avoid waste when you're cutting. So we have the front and the back. So we'll move the back and keep. So what we'll do now is to take our straight ruler and kind of slant it on the neckline towards the hem. So we'll place it in a slanted way and trace it to the hem. Right, depending on whatever you're comfortable with, we'll come up at the front hem here by about 3 inches. You can feel free to do more than that, especially if you're working with something longer. So for this short, yeah, let me go by 4 inches. By 4 inches. Then you take it down to the edge. Yeah. You take it to the edge. Not very close to the edge because you know taking. Then you cut it. Then you also cut this side. We are done with the front. Our wrist was, we used 6 inches, right? Before we added a bit for the bodies. But for the cuff, you maintain the 6 inches. So 6 inches plus about 1 inch allowance, that's 7 inches. On fold, it's 3.5. So measure 3.5. And the cuff width will be 2 inches. So fold it into 2. So for the cuff, 3.5 is around 3.5 inches. Now cut it out. Then fold. We expect the cuff to be around 2 inches. So 2 inches on fold. Let's see if we can get 2 inches on fold. So 2 inches on fold plus half inch allowance, that's 2.5 inches. So we have 2.5 inches here. Inches here. Inches here. Here, use your ruler to make your straight lines. Doing the sleeve lightly, the sleeve of the bodice to this cup, so it will look like this. When you cut your bodies, don't forget to mark the left and the right sides. And we'll take this to our machine. Then we'll be sewing the front and the back. So this is the front and back. So we'll be joining this side with this side. After joining this side, then we'll also join the sides here, the edges here. So I'll do that and bring it for you to see how it looks like. We stitched the neckline area and also stitched the sides to the end. So turn this inside out, iron it, press with an iron. To finish up this front area here, we'll be cutting fabric 2 inches. Like we'll put a fabric about 1.5 inches wide to finish up this part. So we'll start by measuring this area around. So we'll measure it around the neckline to the other side. Here we have about 41.5 inches. Another method is identify the midpoints on the neck area. So you can do this by folding the shoulder lines to touch each other. Then identify the midpoints, the edges here, midpoints of the back. Then we now measure from the midpoint downwards, from the midpoint down the front area. So we have measure it this way. I'll be using this method because my fabric won't be long enough to get 41.5 inches. So using this method, I'll cut the fabric I'll be using into 3. I'll be joining 2 fabrics together. These are 21.5 inches. 21.5 inches. This is 21.5 inches, right? This is exactly 21.5 inches. But we'll be adding half inch to make it 22 because you 3 inch. 2. We need it on fold double. That's 4 inches. Measure 4 inches. Now we have two of this. Then we'll take it and fold it, then iron. So this is what we have after ironing the 2. So we'll take these 2 and with the right sides facing each other, we'll open it and then we'll stitch what we have 2 joined together. So open this up and we'll iron it open, and then we close it back. So we'll take our neckline. Remember this notch we made here. Then we'll put this and then we'll stitch around the neck area down and around the other side downwards. This is the one just joined, so it's looking like this. You can see how it's looking now. Top stitch here so that it stays firm, and you can leave it like that. In this case, I'll prefer to top stitch. I'll top stitch and show you how it's like. This is it. This is the result of the top stitch I just made. Right? You can see I started from here, then I went round to the back here, all the way to the other side. Right. So now we'll be going for the sleeve. You can remember we cut out this sleeve. So we'll be gathering this sleeve into this cutting. Remember we cut out our exact wrist measurements for this plus 1 inch allowance. So we'll need 2 of this iron. On the wrong side. The wrong side has this marking. Don't forget to always mark your wrong sides. So you open up the wrong side and fold. So take in half an inch here and same for this. So we have this. We took half inch here and half inch on the other side. Then we'll turn it back to the way it was before. Right? So we have this shape. You can see it here. Same with this. You're not turning it fully, you're just turning it halfway. Right. This way. So we have something like this. Right sides together, right? Then you take it over it. Then you start making pleats round. Earlier we've pleated it into the sleeves. We have small pleats here. We pleated it on the sleeve here. Right. So we're almost done with the top. The last thing we have to do is to hem round. So we'll be hemming this around to be ready. The lower parts. This is the finished look. Here is the completed blouse. You can rock it with your gown, skirt or trousers, especially if you want more coverage for your hands. See you in the next video.